What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Unaligned and Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jack, or the Twisted Wanderer. Welcome back to Twisted Thursdays, coming at you on Thursday evening. Welcome back to Twisted Thursdays, where every Thursday we talk about the twists of our lives and all the things that life can throw at us. So get ready, because today we're going on an adventure. No, but today we are going on an adventure. We're going to be talking about how different our 20s are compared to our 30s, okay? Because this little bitch is turning fucking 35 in 9 days. So you can say that I'm feeling a bit reflective about how different my 20s were, everything that I went through in my 20s, and ended up here. It's wild. I really do thank past Jack for just getting me here, because wow. This reflection just showed me that, you know what? I may have not always made the best decisions, but I did what I could, and they got me here. So I have to be grateful for that. So I'm really excited to talk today about how different our 20s and 30s can look. And of course, sharing some personal experiences of my 20s and what my 20s looked like for me. And then I'll just be talking about what I'm now learning in my 30s, what I'm unlearning. Okay. Some of this shit don't serve me no more. Got to get rid of that shit. So I'm really excited to dive into today's episode and just talk about life and all its beautiful, hot mess, fucked up twists that it decides to send us sometimes. So without further ado, let's go, Leosis. All right, so 20s versus 30s. First thing we're going to talk about, lots of drinking, copious amounts of alcohol. My favorite fucking drinks, we're going to talk about them because I haven't taught about them in a while. So just a little background history of me before we start this episode. 22, I lost my, of course, best friend Jake to a heroin overdose. And that was my first experience with extremely close grief. I will say the year before Jake passed away, 2012, my best friend, she did lose her brother, Matthew. So that was a really heavy one as well. And then also losing Jake, who was pretty much like someone I considered my childhood best friend and, just like extra sibling. He passed. So that was kind of like, I was saying that Matthew was definitely very close to home. Jake was my first like stab in the chest, like my personal grief. Still felt stab in the chest with Matthew. I hope this makes sense. I know my best friend Paige would completely understand what I'm saying because she is also a very, I don't know why this is coming to me. I think this is from Two Girls with Grief podcast, but shout out to them in this term if it is from there. But Paige would know what I mean because we're professional grievers at this point. We've lost people. So I'll just say that. Love you, Paigey. So yeah, 2013, I lost Jake. I'm 22 years old. I'm just getting out of a fucking terrible, narcissistic, toxic fucking relationship because I think they're so worthless. We're not using their real name. They're going to be Frank. I guess Frank works, whatever. So we just had gotten out of this terrible relationship with Frank and I lost my best friend to a heroin overdose. I'm a shit show. I'm a hot mess express. Watch out. You can most likely find me getting drunk, listening to Carrie Underwood, Till I See You Again, Luke Bryan, Drink a Beer. I feel like those are my two major ones that I would just listen to all the fucking time when I first lost Jake. And hanging out with the besties, hanging out with the family, drinking, talking about the good old days, going out, because you know what? Drinking is very normalized in our 20s. So how could one recognize a coping mechanism or a pattern if they have no idea what the fuck those things are? Okay. Realizing this from my 30s. I know this information now. Jack back then, no, she had no idea. So we give her grace because again, she got me here. So good job, Jack. So then with this loss, I'm feeling extremely heavy. So of course, going out and drinking is going to feel so good when you feel heavy. Not only am I grieving my loss, like a huge loss in my life and not being able to, it still really gets me. It's like you shake your fist as I'm talking. I'm like, why aren't you here? So just really carrying that grief, fresh fucking grief, and just being extremely heartbroken and sad and not in a great place. Add on a toxic relationship ending and not really having a clean break. There was kind of fucked up mind games on that end of going back and forth, and I let that happen. I let myself get treated like a piece of shit because again, now that I'm learning, I was grieving and also probably looking to feel loved, and this person absolutely probably still doesn't know what fucking love is, and just wasn't providing that, and was just kind of just after you just stab something and just twisting the knife for fun is what I'll describe the end of that relationship. And with all that being said, kind of just feeling like I couldn't outrun grief. I couldn't outrun this disgusting person, this situation that I felt like just everything felt so fucking heavy and just out of control those first 2 years losing Jake. And what ended up happening is I lost Jake in 2013, and then I moved to Nashville in January of 2015. That is where we're going to hang out for a little bit, because Nashville, let me tell you, lots of fun. So much fun. Even more fun when you're a bartender on Broadway, and, lots of fun. Lots of crazy stories. We can totally talk about those in a different episode, because I would love to share some wild fucking experiences through my 20s. Because, didn't always make the best decisions, but it makes for some funny fucking stories. So we'd be talking about those this season, don't worry. But for today, what we're going to talk about is, while I did want to travel, I always felt it in me that I was always going to move out of Long Island. I always wanted to travel. It was just something that I felt would bring me joy and knowledge. And I just wanted human connection and to see different parts of the world. And it just made those two things happening kind of was a catalyst for me to get the fuck out of New York. And I moved about 2 years after, like I just said, in 2015. And I got there and I got my first apartment, my amazing mom, dad, cousin, and was Devin there? My sister, was she there? I think it was just me, my dad, and my cuz. So shout out my cuz, Steve. Appreciate you for helping me move to Nashville. And yeah, so we went on this journey. I got my first apartment all by myself. If I remember correctly, the rent was $850 a month for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. Can we bring back those? Can we bring back those rates? That would be great. So yeah. Anywho, so I moved in, I got my first apartment. This is fucking hilarious. I started in Nashville, originally started working at O'Charlie's. I don't know if you know what that is. I didn't know what it was. It's kind of like a chain. I guess it's kind of relatable to like a Chili's or something, maybe. But it was O'Charlie's. I was a server. That didn't really last long. I said, fuck this job sucks. I really, really want to work on Broadway. That's the whole reason I worked here. I want to work on Nashville. I want to be in the center of it all. So that was my goal. And the catalyst to that goal is this we could go on a story time right now. So one of my first shifts driving to this lovely first job of being a server in Nashville, I think it was Antioch location too. So yeah, I was driving there and I definitely should have called out, but because it's your first shift and you don't want to seem like an asshole. But as a New Yorker who, I know we're not perfect. I know we got potholes, but we do have stuff that cleans up the snow. We anticipate snow and ice and things like that. And Nashville, not so much. They don't have the means to make the roads a safe place, if you will, during snowstorms and ice storms. And they get ice storms. That shit was crazy, okay? So I drove there. I made it to work safely. But on the way home, I proceeded to get rear-ended. My car did a spiral on the interstate, almost went under a semi-truck, like Fast and Furious type shit. Yeah, almost happened. Not under it. It wouldn't have gone smoothly. It would have been quite fucking terrible. And I crash into the person in front of me. So I get bumped. The ice sends me forward. I hit someone and they just keep going. So they just kept going. I don't know where they are. I still don't know where they are. I hope they're okay. But yeah, they just kept going. And I'm now sitting with my fucked up car. Like the whole front is kind of pushed in. I'm freezing cold because it's literally, I think by now I've been there for like a couple of weeks if I'm starting this job. So maybe February of 2015. And I'm fucking in the middle of the highway. I'm freezing cold. I call the police. They don't even come. I waited an hour. I called them back. No one fucking came. I called my mom, like, my phone's about to die. I'm still in the middle of the road. No one has come for me. There's no ambulance in sight. There's no police in sight. There's no one. What do I do? My mom and my dad are like walking me through this. They're like, start the car again. Drive extremely slow. Put your hazards on, get off at the next exit. I'm like, okay, I'm 23 at this point. Like I'm about to turn 24 because it's February of 2015 and my birthday's in April. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I think I can do this. Like I have to fucking do this, right? So I proceed to drive myself to the nearest exit. And I finally, like I said, I'm in Antioch, okay? I finally get to the exit. I find a motel. I proceed to then have to sleep in this motel with, actually, I still remember this because I FaceTimed my best friend Dom Dom, and I just remember like crying, like telling her, I can't believe I have to stay here. It's sketchy. I'm scared. I don't want to be alone. I just want to be home. I can't believe this happened. I should have called out of work. Like just, like just really going through it. And on top of everything else, because I'm probably combining everything else in life. Okay. I'm an Aries. I'm fucking dramatic. Okay. Anyway, so I get to the motel that I see, I'm sleeping with like burnt cigarette butts in the bed. It is not fun. Okay. But I make it to morning time, and it probably wasn't until like the next day at 1 p.m. still waiting in my car for a taxi to bring me home. I think I got home by 2 p.m. the next day. And I said to myself, yeah, I'm not coming back in. And I quit O'Reilly's. And then the next day, I went and I walked up and down Broadway until I met my wonderful friend, Haley from The Wheel, who actually helped me get the job at The Wheel, which was known as AJ's Good Time Bar now. But it was known as The Wheel when I worked at it, and Haley helped me land my first job with, I believe their name was Libby. Libby was one of the owners. She did sell The Wheel to, obviously, Alan Jackson. It's AJ's Good Time Bar. So they sold that right around the time I was leaving Nashville. So like towards the end of 2015, I think. But I digress from that. So yeah, that was a really, really cool, fun little story for you there, and the hecticness of when I first moved to Nashville. But it catalyzed me walking my ass up and down Broadway until I got hired, and long and behold, I did, and that started such a fucking fun journey of bartending on Broadway, going out, drinking with the friends, having Vegas bombs, just living life up the best way you can, watching live shows, hooking up, having a good time, and just really trying to embrace the first time of being on my own, trying to carry this big grief and have a good time and try and feel normal again. I think that's something I'm realizing now is I was always just chasing to feel normal. And something I know now is just grief is my new normal. Grief is my normal. I am someone who grieves. I am someone who has lost a lot of people, and I trying to look at it that it's an honor that I get to grieve them and that I get to remember them and I get to talk about them. So to share a bit more about why your girl may have a drankety-drank a lot, and then talk about what I'm learning, it's like, in my 20s, I feel like we normalize drinking, right? Like it is just the thing we do. We wait for our 21st birthday to be able to hand that ID in and throw away the fake ones and like just be like, that's it, I'm 21 now, bitch, I know everything. And just like you get into that fucking headset of like, yes, let's go to the fucking bars every weekend. Well, not every weekend. Now it has to turn into wind down Wednesdays, tipsy Thursdays, fucked up Friday, shit face Saturdays, Sunday fun day, tipsy Tuesday, madness Monday maybe, margarita Monday. So yeah, see that? That's what happens. We just find a reason to drink any day of the week when we're in our 20s. I feel that's the thing. And I had a motherfucking blast. Okay? You go live on Nashville and tell me you're not going to go out every motherfucking day for that first year and live it up on Broadway, because that's what I fucking did. And it was so much fun. And I will definitely share more stories. But for today, we're kind of just talking about like drinking and how it's so normalized in society. And you could be in your 20s right now and you're going through stuff, and maybe you are using drinking as a coping mechanism. And I just want to say, like, that's okay. We can't be mad about the things that we don't know. If you do realize it and you're not ready to change it, or, it's such a journey and we need to give ourselves grace. So just remember that. And another thing about like chasing that normal, I think it really leads into, because, 25, of course. I was 24 in Nashville, in Nashville, sorry guys, sorry. In 2015, so January 2015, that entire year until December, quite literally, because I spent New Year's Eve on Broadway as well with my girl Lauren. That was so much fun. And so then I moved back. I moved back home in 2016 because I was turning 25. And the reason I needed to move home from Nashville, Tennessee is one, my mom's mom, my grandma Reza was doing worse. And I was like really upset about that. And I wanted to kind of be home for that. Wasn't really sure if I was going to move back home, but I just knew I wanted to see her more. And then on top of that, my scoliosis pain increased so much. Like, I have always been in pain. I've talked about it, like starting from 15 years old. I've always been used to that like chronic, crunchy back feeling, like just always knowing that you have a spine pretty much. And it just became worse and worse. And I'm not sure if it was like from bartending or, doing hair. I was doing hair before this. I kind of chose like two fucking careers of scoliosis, where like it's a lot of work on the body. And my pain just got so much worse. And my mom was like, I think you need to make a decision. You are 25. You're a bartender. You're a hairdresser. You don't have health insurance. You're going to lose our health insurance next year at 26 years old. Why don't you move home and let's go to the doctors and see what's going on? Like, my mom was like, I'm just starting to see like a pain management doctor, so you can go see them. And I said, okay, cool. Like, you know what? I think you're right. I'm going to move home. So I moved home in February of 2016, January, I don't know, one of those. And so I got home and I go to that appointment at 24 years old. I'll be turning 25 in April of 2016, excuse me, sorry. So what happens is I go to that appointment and they pretty much tell me like, no, there's nothing we can do for you. Pain management is not going to help this. Like, you need surgery. And this is already like, when did I deny surgery? 18 years old. So this is already a couple years past that. I can't do math right now. Someone do math. I appreciate you. So it's been a few years, but I've heard it before. 3 people told me at 18 years old, you should get surgery. 3 people told me no. I went the way that said no. Okay. But then sometimes we can't avoid the paths that are just meant to be for us. So the girl got told she needed surgery, and that is what I plan to do. And before this was told to me, like when I went to this doctor, I had planned to go to Indonesia, to go to Bali, to go on this awesome adventure, to to just volunteer and to travel. Because one thing I've always said in my 20s is like, it's so important to just travel and move and to just feel that sense of like, I didn't have self-love, but like I always wanted to be on my own. I always thought it was like cool. I always wanted to travel, and that having to cancel that trip, it still breaks my heart. And whenever I get to go to Bali, Indonesia, it will be a true full circle moment for me, because that is the trip that I had to cancel in order to schedule spinal fusion surgery. And I think that that feeling of grieving and wanting to feel normal is what really led me into not taking the best care of myself post spinal fusion. Because, like, of course, like pre spinal fusion, I didn't know all the things I know now about scoliosis and spinal fusion to be able to care for myself. And I didn't really know it either after surgery, because the biggest thing with like society and just being in your 20s is there are these things that are just like normal around us that I feel are, maybe, don't quote me on this, I don't know if that's the right lingo, but like maybe ingrained, embedded to be that way, or like, obviously there are so many things that are systemic, but like, and maybe this is one, like, let me know, but that we just do things and then we just keep going. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, it's not a big deal. Keep going, keep going. And I didn't treat anything like it was a big deal. Like, I knew it was a big deal. My mom knew it was a big deal. Like, that spinal fusion was this big deal, but it wasn't big enough in my head at 25 to register that I should try and change my life and to try and learn more about my body and scoliosis and why it moves and how it moves and what exercise is good for that. And is drinking really good for like my bone health while I'm recovering with a brand new fused spine, because I was probably drinking already by like a month or two after, probably, because it was such embedded as a coping mechanism and just the thing I did for fun. So I went straight from having this life-changing fucking traumatic surgery, now adding like body grief and things that I don't even know how to put a name on yet, and just drinking and suppressing things. Because if we're always drinking and it's our habit, like, we're not going to be able to feel things that are coming up because we're just drinking and ignoring them and kind of in that bliss, that bliss of just not realizing this. Ooh, fun. Yeah. So that's something I've been thinking about in my 30s. I'm like, this makes sense. Like, everyone around me was drinking. It's kind of what we did to like do the things that we needed to do. And it's also something we did for fun. And it was just my normal. It was my crutch. And it just makes sense as to why, I'm on this journey now, because everything I experienced from 22 to 32, because the end of my 32nd year is when I started to feel immense sadness and depression and just hating myself to the most point I think I've ever hated myself, and feeling so much shame for the past 10 years from like 22 to 32, not understanding where it was coming from and being so confused and like, what the fuck? And just, I remember thinking to myself, like a few weeks away from my 33rd birthday, just being like, I don't want to be this version of myself by 35. And now that like my 35th birthday is 9 days away, and today, while I record and talk to you all, having my non-alcoholic Corona, I'm on day 59 of no alcohol. And I'm almost on a 2-year journey, almost full 2 years of being in therapy and learning these things and understanding my 20s more and understanding society more and why these things may happen and why I was the way I was and what is a coping mechanism and where did people pleasing come from and when was the first time it kind of happened, and just going through the motions. And I feel like our 20s is really just a time we don't know shit. And I think we know everything. It's really like hindsight 2020. That's what I want to say about my 20s. Because I definitely didn't know shit. Okay. Nada. No. Big goose egg there. But I clearly knew enough and had enough support from my mom and the people in my life to help me keep going. But I really did have myself. And I just think it's so important to kind of reflect and be like, damn, my 20s were a shit show. But also be like, that bitch got me through so much. Give her a little clap, like a little snappy snap, because I'm here because of her. I'm sitting here 9 days away from my 35th birthday, 59 days without alcohol. And I will not call myself sober. I don't mean sober like that. I do smoke like medical marijuana. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to say sober, but like what my journey is with alcohol right now, just to share, it's really just about learning and unlearning myself. What do I actually like? Why do I act the way I act? What are my boundaries? What are my values? What are my true values? Who truly am I without this mask? And even like ADHD plays a part in this. And that's something we'll talk about this season as well as I dive more into learning about that. Because something I didn't know until I learned more about ADHD through therapy is that people with ADHD are more prone to abuse substances and lean on them. So it's just so much to learn. And just give yourself grace if you don't know it all right now. And if you're in your 20s and you're going fucking through it, just look at yourself in the mirror and thank yourself because you're here. You made it another day. And I hope you know that you are worthy and beautiful and worthy of love and respect just because you're here. And you don't need to earn this self-worth that I think like I thought for the longest time that I had to earn it. And I had none. I had no self-worth. And no self-love. And that's something I feel like the 30s are just about understanding the whys of our 20s and giving ourselves grace and, just hold on to that. Hold on to that part of you because we are each part that we have been and we will be a newer version because we're always evolving. Life is evolving. Things are happening and we're always changing. And what's the fun with staying the same, It's fun to change. It's fun to switch it up. So really what the 30s is, I've carried shame my entire life. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. And we just have to learn that loving ourselves, it's not this like magic switch, right? It's not just going to magically happen, but it's going to come with each time you stick to that new boundary you want to make. Or each time you choose a non-alcoholic beverage over, a real one. It comes from just honoring ourselves and seeing what self-love really, truly looks like for us. So I hope that's something you can take away and understand like the true difference of our 20s and 30s is honestly, we just have these cards that were dealt and we have to just learn how to play them. Right? This is our journey and each decade is gonna look different. But what we can do and what we should do is look back on the last decade and no matter what it looks like, I urge you to find grace and love for that version of you that got you to today because they got you to today. And you do have them to thank for that. And you do have your current self to thank for that. But definitely thank your younger self. Give yourself grace as you continue to navigate life because all we can do is continue to grow and continue to love ourselves. So I want to end this episode talking about the lies that I repeated to myself in my head a lot of my 20s. And the truth that I'm learning through being 30 and being in therapy. So I hope these help you too. So the lie, I'm not good enough. That is a fucking lie. You survived. I survived. Everything life threw at me. And that's more than good enough. That's the fucking truth. The lie is that you're not good enough. The truth is that you survived everything life threw at you and you kept going. And that is, like I've said, I think it's a miracle, especially after grief and especially after, especially after grief in all its forms. Okay. Second one. This one, we're going to talk about this in a future episode, but this one really fucking gets me as a neurodivergent girly. Okay. Fucking pissed. The lie. ADHD is just a learning disorder. I believe this my entire life. I want you to all know who's listening. I believe this my entire life. Okay. But what I'm learning through therapy is that it explains so much more from my intrusive thoughts to pretty much my whole life. Where from emotional dysregulation, emotion regulation is harder for people with ADHD and how it just shows up in women. Decision paralysis, so many things that I always thought were like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with me are not what the fuck is wrong with me. Like it's literally neurological. Okay. And the one thing I also want to talk about here with ADHD real quick is it definitely can be a learning disorder. But there are a lot of beautiful people, especially women out there, who are functioning with their fucking ADHD like superpowers. Just to drop name one. One is Simone Biles. Like, she's a fucking goat, okay? She has ADHD. She's a baddie. And the fact that like ADHD is so much more. Just learning that has truly really helped me in my self-love game, in my perspective shift in how I view myself and how I view how I learned and how I took on the world earlier on in life. And the third one is drinking is just what everyone does in their 20s. And that is true. Like, it's not like a real lie, but the also truth is it's how I coped and how I dealt with, like, my just life at that time and the heaviness that I was carrying. Like, learning that it was a coping mechanism really changed my life. Honestly, it's kind of wild. And then the biggest lie that we are told, the biggest lie that I feel like all of us tell to ourselves in our 20s, we're going to end on this note: you'll have everything figured out in your 30s. Sorry for anyone who was really hoping that we would have it figured out. And maybe there's a 30-year-old out there that does have it figured out. Let me know, okay? Let me know. Email me, twistedwander418@gmail.com. Tell me all about your figured out life at 30 if you got it. I would love to hear. But the truth is, I'm still learning at 34, and that's completely okay. I think we put all this pressure on ourselves to have everything figured out, to have the dream job, to have the house, to married kids, whatever your dream looks like. Maybe it's like to travel to Indonesia, to Bali, like me. But the truth of the matter is life is long. It is not a sprint, if you will. It is a marathon. And in order to not get burnt out and not get overwhelmed, and I know those things are going to happen. As someone with a dynamic disability, ADHD, I get it. I know those things happen. But what I'm trying to say here is give yourself some grace. It's not going to magically figure itself out. All you can do is just give yourself some grace and keep going. Be patient, because if I would have given up this journey to truly like change and see a different version of myself before 35, I wouldn't be here. It's only because for the last almost 2 years, I have been on this messy ride of like trying to not drink. And it is so much harder than anyone fucking talks about. And I will love to talk about it in a future episode. But it really is just, goodness gracious, I hate when this happens. ADHD moment, literally right in the middle of a sentence. No. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's going to come back. I don't know if that thought's going to come back. I'm even staring at my one little note and nothing's coming back. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, beautiful people. But I know you know me, and I appreciate you for that. And all my neurospicy, sparkly, neurodivergent people. I know you understand this, so I really appreciate and love you. But yes, okay, we have to keep going. The goal is to keep going, because if we stop, then we stay stagnant. And if there's anything I really learned from the start of this healing journey, it's completely ongoing, and it is hard. It is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but it's really worth it to try to get to meet me again and to share this journey with you all. And I hope if you're listening and you're on a journey of your own, that you just keep going, and that you know that I'm here rooting for you, that you're amazing for just showing up again, because it doesn't matter how many times. I know this is such a fucking cliche, if that's the right word, but it doesn't matter how many times that we fall down, only the amount that we get back up. Because for me, it's a matter of honoring those who I've lost and to keep living the best that I can. It's something I've been trying to do for Jake ever since he passed. And I think he'd be really proud right now. So that's the episode, my beautiful people. A reflection of my journey from 20s to 30s. Cannot believe I'm going to celebrate 35 in just 9 days. And I'm really excited for that. So That is the end of our episode. So if you like this episode, if you enjoy the podcast, please do me a favor, like this, leave a review, comment on the podcast, share this episode. These are all things that help us find more beautiful, twisted people so we can help spread the word that no one is alone in the twists that they go through in their lives. No one is alone with scoliosis or dynamic disabilities in general. So let's build this beautiful community up full of beautiful, amazing, twisted people such as yourselves. So please like, comment, review the podcast at Unaligned and Unfiltered. It's the Instagram, Unaligned and Unfiltered Podcast on Instagram, Unaligned and Unfiltered Podcasts on YouTube under the Twisted Collective. If you have any questions or you'd like to be a guest on the future episodes or send in questions for Twist and Tell or confessions for Twist and Tell, please send those to twistedwanderer418@gmail.com. I will leave that in the show notes. But until then, my beautiful fucking people, take care of your brain. Take care of your spine. I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.